Hi, you are listening to the Love and Money Podcast with Shakira, and today I'm going to talk to you about student loans. So, Biden has canceled billions of dollars in student loan debt, and it's the U.S. Department of Education. They have canceled a total of $9 billion in federal student loans. So, will this apply to you if you have student loans? You're probably wondering. Or if your children have student loans, will this apply to you? Well, this only applies to people who have federal student loans. Also, you have to meet several different stipulations. Stipulation number one, you have to be totally and permanently disabled. So, this is for disabled people. Or the second factor is that you would have had to have gone to a school that gave you phony promises, like phony promises of being able to find a job after you graduated, or the school was a phony school because it ended up actually closing, like it wasn't a legit school. So those are the two stipulations where he's paying off federal student loan debt. You have to be classified as totally and permanently disabled, or you have had to have gone to a phony school. So everybody else, you still have to pay your loans. So what I recommend is if you have private and federal student loans, the majority of people who are in student loan debt have private and student loans. Is that you work on paying off your private loans first. Call the lender up and ask them, is this a private or a federal loan? And they'll tell you. Work on paying off your private loans first, just in case the administration decides to come through with some assistance on the federal loan for the rest of the population who is in student loan debt. So, a total of $5.8 billion went out to disabled people, and that was a total of 323,000 people who were considered to be disabled. So, that's $5.8 billion that went out to them. So, they do not have to fill out any application and they do not have to give out any information about any money that they earn. They just have to be classified as totally and permanently disabled. And so that is $5.8 billion that was allotted to that segment of the population, disabled people. And again, like I said before, also to people who went to schools that were considered to be phony, that gave phony promises, or who ended up closing after they took their money. The other segment of the population will be getting a portion of that billion of dollars. And so the plan is to wipe out a total of $8.7 billion worth of student loan debt to be given to 455,000 Americans. So is that many people who are in that segment of population as considered as being disabled or going to phony schools? 455,000 people. So that's a large amount of people who classify in those areas. And the plan is to wipe out a total of $8.7 billion in student loan debt for that segment of the population. For everybody else, the moratorium ends next month, and so they will be start expecting you to get back to paying your debts. So you will start receiving the phone calls again about your payments, the bills about your payments, and any other way that they usually contact you. The moratorium ends next month, and they will be uh, ready to collect their money for the debts. So, like I said before, I would recommend calling the lender if you have student loans or if your children have student loans. Calling the lender for each loan that you have, like say you have loans from different people, to call each lender, ask them, is this private or federal? And then focus on paying off the private first, just in case the administration decides to assist in the federal. If they decide to expand that to populations outside of the disabled population and outside of the phony school population. And so, as it stands, Biden, he promised to pay $10,000 of federal student loan debt when he came into office. So that was back in January. And so now we are here in August, and nobody has the $10,000 he promised for the federal student loans. But Congress is still trying to get $50,000 passed. And so we will see what happens in relation to that. If you will get $50,000 for your federal student loans, if you will get $10,000 for your federal student loans, or if it was an empty promise. You'll see in a couple of months. I'm sure they're dealing with multiple issues, and student loans is probably on the back burner for them, but it is one of the issues that they have on the table, at least, whether to assist with $50,000, to assist with $10,000, or like I said before, we'll see if this was just an empty promise to get into office. And so this is what's going on as far as student loans, student loan debt. They're going to be spending billions of dollars. That's billions of dollars they're going to be spending to help people get out of student loan debt. And it only applies to a certain segment of the population, like I said before, disabled people or people who went to phony schools. And then, like I said before, focus on paying off the private loans first, just in case the administration decides to come through and assist with the federal student loans. So, this is the Love and Money podcast with Shakira. If you like this podcast, please go to the bottom of the page and hit the share button, and then go to the top and hit the like button and the subscribe button. It helps the algorithm. Thank you for listening.